Welcome to Brands Talk, the podcast that explores the world of successful brands and the secrets behind their brilliance. I'm your host, Brigitte, a company and personal brand identity strategist. Driven by my passion for brand excellence, we reveal the stories, strategies, and insights from thought leaders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, and experts who have propelled their brands to new heights. With a focus on authenticity, market leadership, and the power of brand storytelling, our conversations are designed to inspire and empower you to elevate your brand's radiance and attract not only the recognition, but also the clients you truly deserve. We delve into corporate branding, entrepreneurial branding, personal branding, and leadership branding, offering valuable lessons for entrepreneurs and business professionals alike. Let's get started and dive into the world of brands.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Boring to Badass, where we help you take a B2B brand from boring to badass. I'm really excited today because we have BridgetBrands on the show today. She's an amazing brand identity strategist who's worked with enterprise level companies such as L'Oreal, VW, Porsche, and the European Investment Fund. Her experience as a university professor gives her a really unique academic perspective on brand building. But what I'm really most excited about with having Bridget on the show today is her experience in leadership branding, which is different than what a lot of people might think personal branding is, and that's helping executives and other leaders in a company brand themselves. So I'm excited to have Bridget on. Thanks for coming.
Hi, Justin. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here with you today, discussing everything about personal branding and how that ties into leadership branding or having a certain executive presence in the market.
Awesome. Can you go ahead and let's dive in, and can you explain a little bit exactly why executives and leaders should put time and effort into branding themselves? Like, what are the benefits of doing that?
Okay. I think this is a really, really great question because at the end, we are all brains. And whether we realize it or not, we are putting ourselves out there every day. And personal branding in specific, I would say, is about intentionally shaping how others perceive us to ensure that we are remembered in a specific way that aligns with our true self. And this involves crafting a narrative that radiates with colleagues, with team members, with business partners, in specific when it comes to business, right? With your inner circle, with your wider community in general. So I think it's all about being intentional of how we are putting ourselves out there. And definitely when we do so, there are some benefits. A strong personal brand or leadership brand significantly impacts the internal dynamics of an organization because we are influencing and we are radiating something. When you're authentically embodying your brand, you are setting a powerful example for your team, for all the others. And it also fosters a culture of pride, because who doesn't want to work with someone who has a presence, who is a mentor, who is a leader, whom we admire, who we strive for working with. Yeah, it's all about loyalty and purpose that is also involved in that. And that enhances employee engagement. People, they're giving their best, they're inspired. It's all about retention, employee retention. It's all about productivity. And last but not least, innovation. People, as I said, people are motivated, people are inspired. So your leadership brand is also then a strong brand when you align your team's effort with the company's overarching vision and mission. So you're kind of the node in between, because you're a strong brand when you align your personal values, your personal vision with the overall organizational vision, and you have a strong presence when you get others to buy into your vision and follow you. Yeah, even though you are not the leader heading the team, in a sense, you're behind them because you're supporting, inspiring, and motivating them. So it's your intention that you're setting and the impact that it has. And you have to be careful with our intentions, because the impact can be positive or can be negative. So that's why intentionally doing something. And it also, of course, establishes credibility and trust in you, in the organization. People follow you. You are the subject matter expert within the organization, within the industry, because you're consistently delivering value, engaging with your team, you're listening, you demonstrate integrity, and you're building credibility over time because of that. And then also you're driving business success with being a strong leader, with having this specific executive presence out there. You inspire others, as I said. You're attracting opportunities by that. You are building networks by that. So there's a lot of benefits coming with intentionally building a personal brand as a leader.
Awesome. Very cool. So how does leadership branding differ from, what some people call like entrepreneurial branding? So someone who maybe, they're a business coach or a speaker, they kind of run their own business. Maybe they're a business of 1 to 2 people. Those people do personal branding, but I imagine there's a difference between personal branding for people who are interested in having a career in enterprise level businesses or even smaller businesses versus, say, someone who's an entrepreneur. So like, what's the difference between those types of personal branding?
It's also another good question. Leadership branding and entrepreneurial branding have some common goals. It's about having a vision. It's about going for your higher purpose. It's about leading leadership or leading based on values, etc., etc. So there's a lot of commonalities they have, but they also differ in terms of context they're in, and in terms of goals, and in terms of objectives. So leadership branding focuses very much, as we know, on established organizations. So it's within the context of an organization. So it's highlighting your qualities. As I said before, it's the vision that buys in. Yeah? It's the integrity that you bring along, the ability to inspire others as well. And it also involves projecting a certain gravitas. So how you act, and also effective communication of how you speak, but also, and it should not be underestimated, the professional appearance that you have, how you look, all that is integrated, and one influences the other. So there's very much a focus on these 3 pillars of leadership. So they must navigate through complex organizational dynamics. It's about building strong shareholder relationships and delivering on a company's brand promise. So it's very much about strategic thinking within the context of the organization, having adaptability and leading through change within a structured environment. Yeah. And that is leadership branding. Entrepreneurial branding is similar, but still something else. It's all about a founder's journey of driving new ventures. And this is often fueled by their personal journeys and aspirations. It involves kind of a mindset shift from the individual, from an employee to a business owner's mindset. There is a huge difference, right? So defining a personal brand, that always comes first, and blending it with a company brand identity that comes seconds. Because you, as a solopreneur, very often we start out a business as a solopreneur, we as a person shine through the company brand. So it's all about personal branding, which sets the foundation for a strong company brand identity. So personal branding, in a sense, everyone has a personal brand, as I know, as we just discussed and as we know, but it's used in a different context, of course, in an organization where you are part of many. And as an entrepreneur, you're very much the founder, the owner, the CEO of something that is growing and is scaling. At the beginning, it's very much a challenge, and an entrepreneurial roller coaster until you get a certain traction. So as I say, it's entrepreneurs. It's about entrepreneurial branding to kind of get into the right mindset, which is very often the first hurdle. Overcoming these limiting beliefs, having a clear vision. What is my true why, my higher purpose that I'm going for? So this needs to be in place. And also, of course, your underlying set of values. That is basically the same as with leadership branding. You also have personal values, and they should not be much different than your professional values. You only have one value set. We are not just taking off like shoes, taking off before you step into something and you become someone completely different. You're taking on a different identity. That shall overlap, because otherwise you have a conflict within you and with your circle, with your professional environment. So everything needs to be aligned. So in the organization, you with the organization, but when it's about you as an entrepreneur, your personal values should align with your company brand identity values.
Nice.
Yeah. So that is basically the difference between the two. I hope that is clear. It's both, require dedication, both require authenticity. Absolutely. Yeah. Authenticity is always staying true to ourselves. So this has to be in place for both of a leadership brand and of an entrepreneurial brand. Nice. And of course, then different challenges based on its context.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You had mentioned the 3 pillars of entrepreneurial or of leadership branding. Sorry. What are those 3 pillars? I know you've kind of talked to them, but I figured it'd be good to kind of just emphasize what those 3 pillars are.
Yeah. So basically, those are 3 interrelated dimensions of leadership branding or executive presence. So, and these 3 pillars are really crucial for a strong leadership brand. And it encompasses how you act, how you speak, and how you look. So the first one is how you act. That is gravitas. It's displaying confidence. A leader needs to have confidence. Yeah. Otherwise, people will not follow you. You should be decisive. You should be, quick in decision making. You need to know, okay, what am I doing in that situation? What do I need in order to make a decision? You cannot wait until you have 100%. Then the opportunity is gone. There needs to be a point, okay, now let's go. Because very often you only have one window of opportunity. Yeah, otherwise your competitors are faster with an innovation, with entering a certain market. Very often it's being first in the market so that you are remembered as a strong brand. So and coming from a place of integrity. So following through with your word. And gravitas also means acting with a clear sense of purpose and conviction. So you really stand with that. You own it. And what I've mentioned before, inspiring trust and also respect. That is gravitas. And it's also about knowing your stuff cold. It's about having the expertise. Once you have internalized and know what you're talking about, then you're very free with everything else. But that should be the core. Okay, that's what really matters. And based on that, you build confidence and everything else as a leader. That's why when you start with a company and you're younger, you usually start out as a trainee or, as an assistant to learn that stuff so that you know it cold later on as a leader, right? And this is the first pillar. The second pillar is communication. It's all about how you speak, being clear, concise, being engaging, having eye contact, listening, to others, feeling the room, what's going on there, anticipating. Yeah, and it involves also preparation. It's almost all about preparation, 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 as and then you can go out there and act in that way. And you're having the additional capacity and the resources to feel the room, to read the room, to take it all in, and also be flexible in your reactions. So that is it. And it's also the brevity and the assertiveness that you're doing it and coming across. And also then make sure that your tone, your body language, and also your eye contact then really reinforces the message. So that should all be aligned. It's the look and the feel and everything. This is all, a brand is always about look and feel, and very much about first impressions. And we should not underestimate that. And this is when it comes to appearance. People think, this is kind of, too superficial, how a person, is dressed and something like that. Do not underestimate. It's the first impression. It should reflect your authenticity, and it should align with the organizational values. And that's why values, these value sets, your personal with the organization, should be aligned, because you want to be the authentic you want to be dressed like the authentic you, then you also, that needs to align with the organizational values. I mean, if you are not a typical banker, then working for a very traditional bank might not be a fit for you, right? So people judge you at the beginning, in the first seconds, based on your appearance. And that is very critical, especially at the beginning, because if the appearance is not a fit, you will be taken off before you even had the opportunity to introduce yourself. Yeah, so that is really one of the most, it is a part of the 3 dimensions, but the smallest part. When it comes to gravitas is the largest part. Then communication adds up to that, and a smaller part is appearance, but it's definitely one of the pillars. Yeah, and then the third step to round that up, when it comes to getting started with leadership branding, is also to seek mentorship and feedback. You can only do that much yourself, but you also need the outside perspective of people who have gone that path, of people that can give you critical and meaningful feedback that you can integrate in your involvement in the development of your leadership brand in the context of the organization or in any other. It really depends on who the mentor or who the feedback giver, who that person is. Is it a coach? Is it a mentor within your company? So I recommend you to seek some constructive feedback on everything. Yeah, your appearance, your communication style, but also on how you bring that across.
Yeah. So it sounds like if you're a marketer and you understand branding, you should understand how to brand yourself and the leadership branding part, because it seems like there's a lot of similar crossover in terms of strategies between the two. But I guess the challenge is then, once again, just like if you're working on the brand for a business and you bring in outside consulting or help to give you, an outside perspective, you need to be doing the same for yourself as well.
Exactly. I mean, what you were talking about now is hiring someone else to help you with brand identity. That's why just a consulting where you work out, a brand identity and then you present it to your client, hey, this is your identity now, you go and run with it. It will not work.
Mhm.
That's why it's so important to take on a coaching approach. You are guiding your heroes, and those are the people that are the faces, that are the humans behind the company brand. Yeah, every individual is a personal brand, but in aggregate, all together, they create that company brand ethos, yeah, the identity. So they need to live and breathe it every day. Otherwise, this construct of a brand identity, that's what you're sending out, can never land somewhere else. It is not authentic, and you wanna connect on a visceral level. When you are authentic, you can attract the right customers to you. Yeah. So you want to speak with an identity that is truly what they want to communicate. So you need to be aware of what you are sending out. What do you want to stand for? What do you want to be for your customers? How do you want your customers feel? How do you want your customers get inspired? Yeah, what are the goals that they want to achieve with the help of your brand? And that's how they choose you. It needs to resonate. So that's why company brand identity, coaching, shaping, creating, defining always goes with the decision makers of the company. Yeah? So we create that by applying different frameworks. There is the company corporate brand identity metrics that I use or draw on as a tool. It's a very complex tool, but a perfect tool to really create and crystallize a strong brand identity. And everyone is involved in here. And that's the beautiful thing, because it's about the people that make the brand. It's we humans that make the brand. As we know nowadays, it's all about humanizing brands because of in the face of AI. It always has been there, but now more and more so, because people want to feel something, people want to belong to something that means something to them, they can hold on to, they find some kind of safety with that brand, and that's what we want to deliver. So a brand has a lot of benefits with regards to satisfying needs and turning pain points into gain points and achieving whatever clients aspire. Yeah.
Cool.
Did I answer your question now? I was so much going into.
Oh, you're fine.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah. So I was curious then, even if you bring in a coach, to help with the brand of the business and then the executive branding, what role does the marketing department play in helping execute some of that to make sure that it works and flows properly through the organization?
So a marketing department would not have a job if they were not a brand. Basically, you need to have a brand, right?
Yep.
So that the marketing department comes up with the tools, with the campaigns to communicate that brand. That's what the marketing department does. Yeah. So they need a brand is something that shapes perceptions, that makes someone feel. So you need to define the brand first. Yeah? What is unique about it? Why is it relevant? How does it differentiate? So that needs to be designed first. And then the marketing department has something in their hands, so to say, and then create the tools to campaign it. That's how I see it. And that's how it usually goes. Yeah, it's really interesting because in my entrepreneurial in branding endeavors with my clients, that I feel yeah, first I need a marketing company to set up strategies. And then I think about branding. I said, listen, I mean, what is the marketing expert doing? I mean, based on what? You need to have a brand first. Yeah, it's not just having a logo and a color and a name. Yeah, they can run with that and do something with it, but how strong will it be in the market when you do not attach meaning to it? What does this color mean that you paint your logo with? You know, what does the name mean? Is there a story? Is there a narrative? If there is no story, no narrative, how impactful is it going to be?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is my take on it.
Well, if someone, so someone who's listening, if they're sitting here and they're going, okay, I want to start to build my executive brand, what are like some of the challenges they could expect that they might run into as they go about building that executive brand?
That is a brilliant question, because you will run into these challenges if you want or not. And it's better to be aware. It might come. It should be somewhere on your back burner that this is coming up. Then you say, I'm there yet. I'm there. Yeah. So one of the challenges to balance personal and professional identities. You're playing different roles in your life at the same time. You're a mom, you are, a child, then you are the wife of someone, you have different roles during a day, but also your professional role in your organization if you are a leader. So you need to kind of, on one side, maintain authenticity while also meeting professional expectations. So you must ensure that your personal brand aligns with the organizational values. That's why it's so important to know that upfront, that you're aware of that. Yeah. And then also, and this comes along with that, a lot of things, this is all interrelated, what I'm saying now, yeah? The conformity and the authenticity. So the balancing act of fitting in with the company culture and the industry norms, very often that is also part of that, and against highlighting your unique qualities. And it's a fine line to go very often. Yeah? I think the solution to that is to stay true to your authentic voice while also adhering to these essential professional standards. And very often your personal standards will match these professional standards. Otherwise, you were not in this role. Yeah. Internal organizational challenges is another one, because you can face resistance from colleagues. There is a change in dynamics once you climb the career ladder. Yeah, they may view you as kind of, your efforts to be as self-serving, so you need to make clear that this change and your growth is also demonstrating a benefit or a growth benefit for the organization. Yeah, so there is also something in it for them. And then the time management. To be intentional about your personal brand takes time for introspection. So you need to carve that out, that time. So you're missing it somewhere else. And as a leader, you can delegate. Delegate what does not necessarily need to be done by you to someone else. So you have that time that you need in order to reflect on yourself. It's also a matter of self-care, because if you are okay with yourself and if you know where you are and what you want to become, and then in the context of the organization, everything else will be also, people will react differently. It's a systemic thing. You're not insulated. You're part of an environment. Yeah. Your family, your organization, your industry, and everything. So take that also into consideration. Not only then managing your preference internally, but also externally, managing your social media platform. Don't forget about that. Proactively shaping the perception on LinkedIn. Usually you're on LinkedIn with a leadership brand. You might have, let's say, a closed Instagram profile that also needs to be curated. But be very intentional and thoughtful what you are putting out, and that more the personal with Instagram somehow still aligns with your professional. Yeah, because if it would be confusing, and usually we people, if we do one thing in a certain manner, we do other things also in a certain manner. Yeah, so we can make conclusions. Be careful with that. And then another thing that I really want to address here is, and unfortunately mostly happens to women, but also men, it's about overcoming imposter syndrome. It's like, oh my God, yeah, am I good enough? So dealing with the feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. So to really overcome that, yeah, make sure you know what you're worth. It's about your self-worth, and once that is increasing, your confidence, your self-confidence is increasing as well, because self-worth, it's all about you. Self-confidence is very much a comparison with others. So you're always kind of missing out if you, oh my God, she's so far advanced, how she's doing that, how he's doing that, da, 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 da. Yeah, you're always comparing. But self-worth is about really understanding what you are worth, based on what you are here, you have something to give. What are your strengths? So look at that. Listen to what other people told you, how good you are in this or that. You were not there where you are if you were not valuable and if you were not worth, right? So it has a reason why you are in that position, and just own it. Yeah, just own it is easier said than done. I understand that, but I just want to point that out. I think this is also an important point. And then last but not least, the challenge to continuously process and refine your brand, because your personal brand is not just a representation of who you are now, but a dynamic reflection of your growth, of your becoming, and an evolution over time. That's how I see it.
Very cool. How do you say, once you've gotten your brand to a certain point, or you've started to build this executive brand, how do you then leverage that to continue to advance your career?
Yeah, this is another great point. So once we are there, I mean, we are there. Where is there, right? Because we are always evolving. But if we have the feeling we are really doing great with it, and what is there that we can leverage, right, with that? Definitely career opportunities, yeah, that are aligned with your experience and with your aspirations. So I think that's the next step. There's always something coming up that you can go for. It's climbing the ladder. Be open for that, because employees, but also recruiters, always see candidates with a strong personal brand. They have gravitas, they know how to talk, they have an appearance, right? So this is the first thing. Then also showcase your unique value proposition. Showcase, highlight your unique skills, experience, attributes to your employees, clients. This is something, putting yourself out there, yeah, and owning it, not in an arrogant way, but in a grateful way. Hey, yeah, this is what I can deliver. Expanding the network, continuously attending conferences, networking events, engaging with peers, potential collaborators. So it's something that also helps you grow. The more you are known, the more opportunities then again you can create. So this is also interrelated. Continue building your own online presence. And as I said, as you evolve, you kind of master that. You become clearer. As I say, in 1 year's time, your profile on LinkedIn also might look a little different, because within that year you have learned, you have evolved, you are on the next level. So that needs also always needs to be updated, and then there are new opportunities coming up. And insofar, you might be able to establish thought leadership. Yeah.
Yeah.
Through articles, through as a speaker at conferences, but also little things like a blog post and social media content. So there are different ways to put yourself, or being an agent or a guest lecturer at the university. I've been doing that for many, many years now, more than 2 decades. I was internal, then external. But this is also a nice way of showing thought leadership and teaching others, helping others to acquire knowledge and know-how and best practices, and bringing in some industry flavor into the classroom. Yeah, and continue to evolve and adapt. There is never an end until you drop dead. I think that's what I'm always saying, until you drop dead. I mean, so if you have a growth mindset, when do you stop?
Yeah. Exactly. Very cool. One last question, and then we'll wrap up. Are there any times where it doesn't make sense to grow a personal brand?
You know what? If you choose not to brand yourself, others will inevitably do it for you, and you might not like it. So building a personal brand is really taking control of how you are perceived by others and shaping your professional but also private identity doing so. I think it's a question of how you want to be perceived, how you want to be seen, and how important it is for you to have control over your public image. I mean, you have control in what you are sending out, so why not being intentional about that? Yeah, because if you're not doing that, then we have the other effect, and they will do it for you. And who wants to live with a brand that is attached on you? It's just, it allows you to live an identity that you have consciously curated, rather than someone is imposing it upon you.
Yep.
Right? And I understand there might be companies or industries where visibility is limited and the relevance is insignificant. I understand that. So that you have not a leadership brand or whatever outside of the company, but still within the organization, you want to be the go-to expert for something. You want to be known for, because you're here for exactly that, right? And why not being in your best possible version? Why not being intentional about that? So I'm just raising this question because, you know what, everyone nowadays, you're living in a time and in a country where we can choose. We have the freedom to choose. It's your choice how you want to put yourself out there. And this is a gift. Regard it as a gift and do something useful with yourself. That means being intentional about personal branding. Yeah, and being useful to yourself and showing that might inspire others to do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, this has been awesome. And if you're listening, I hope you've been able to kind of see, as marketers, a lot of times we worry about branding the businesses we're integrated with, but it's just as important to be branding yourself. And as Bridget said, if you don't brand yourself, others will. So make sure to be intentional about it. Well, thanks for being on the show, Bridget.
Thank you so much for having me, Justin. It was a joy and a pleasure talking about this important topic.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you guys. We'll wrap the show.
If you loved the episode, don't forget to hit follow on your favorite app. Share it with your network and drop me a quick rating or review. Your support means the world to me and brings more exciting brand stories to you. Stay tuned for the next episode as we continue to explore the fascinating world of brands. Until then, keep shining.